Welcome back to another episode of the Fish and Coach Show. My name is Brandon Fisher. This is Coach Ratner. And today we're going to talk about one of your good friends.
Oh, yeah.
Who just shows us the fantasy life of a coin dealer.
Yes.
The rise and fall of an empire.
It was an empire. So my friend, Jack Hertzberg, is an amazing person. And the reason why I started thinking we should do a podcast about him, because it is such a crazy life that he led. I met him in my early 20s. I think I was in California. And I was like 21, getting involved in the coin business and just starting off doing like little deals and stuff, like $1,000 deals, $2,000 deals. And I meet Jack, who's a few years older than me. And he had like this, he was doing like $100,000, $200,000, $1 million deals.
How old was he at the time?
23 years old. I'm like, who is this guy? And he had employees, and he had an office, and I'm like, wow, I'm so impressed. I was so impressed with him. We became very close friends. In fact, I worked for him a number of times. But the great thing about Jack, and the story we're trying to tell here, is that Jack, and you might see this with people who acquire a lot of toys like cars and houses, they're not doing it because of their ego. They're doing it because they like to share. And I think this was Jack, and this became an issue that he liked too many things like this, and he liked to share them. But it was out of a good nature. It wasn't out of like, look at me, I have a Ferrari, Testarossa. Look at me. It was about that he loved to share his toys.
He was a big sharer. Wow.
He was a big sharer. Every time I went to his house, he had this beautiful house. I'm going to say near Seattle. He had view of Mount Rainier. On the Puget Sound, when I say on the Puget Sound, he was on a cliff overlooking a very wide part of the Puget Sound. It was unbelievable. And his house was like all windows. It was like something you see in the movies.
Wow.
It was just crazy. Beautiful. And he had, of course, a wine cellar and it's like 6-car garage, 4-car, I don't remember, some big garage, and a pool in the backyard. And I remember I'd go visit him, and he always passed out cigars and have wine out, and there's always people. I don't say Hugh Hefner. Yeah, I could say Hugh Hefner. You know Hugh Hefner?
If that's what it was like.
It was like Hugh Hefner, but just without the girl. There wasn't a lot of girls there. And we used to hit golf balls, these that were edible golf balls.
Edible golf balls?
They turned into fish food.
Oh, that's cool.
And you hit them off the cliff from the back of his house into the Puget Sound.
No way.
It was so, I have pictures of this with my friend, and I had friends that come with me to visit him.
Is that the name of the water?
Puget Sound. Yeah, it's up in Seattle. It's a big sound. It's the estuaries that are around Seattle.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's why Seattle's a big, fish city. And he was so generous. We went when we were in Vegas together. And when we went to Vegas, Jack would always get, they call it comped. You get this, he's a big gambler. Sure. And one time we go to the Rio Hotel in Las Vegas, and we got the Rain Man suite. If you ever seen the movie Rain Man?
Yeah.
I'm a really good driver. Yeah, I'm a really good driver. Yeah. One is for good, two is for bad. Yeah. Charlie Babbitt's my brother. Charlie, yeah. Judge Wapner. Remember that movie? I don't.
That was pretty good.
Yeah,
I never saw the movie though. But
no, so anyway, there was a suite in the movie. It was a 2-story suite at the Rio, and they had a TV like in the bed that came out. Wow. And this is back in the 80s or 90s, and it was a 2-story suite. And I stayed with Jack at this suite. He always let me stay with him in these suites. And the amazing thing that Jack didn't pay for anything. So I'd go to the pool at the Bellagio Hotel in the morning, and gorgeous pool, and you had these cabanas with the spritzers, the water, and they had a refrigerator full of fruits and things and drinks and coffee, and 8 in the morning, 7 in the morning, because I was on the East Coast time, I come to Vegas, and I order this lox platter with onions and vegetables, and it was like living a fantasy dream.
Wow, yeah.
And then Jack would take everyone to dinner. I mean, we'd be 15 people when we go to the fancy restaurant in the hotel, and he paid. These
are all coin dealers?
Mostly coin dealers, a few friends of his. Mm-hmm. And one time I was with my friend Todd Vecchio, and we were, I think, playing craps or something. And Todd didn't have money to play or something, and Jack liked Todd's shirt. And Jack wanted Todd to have money for gambling, but he didn't want to give him money. So he said, "Can I buy your shirt? I love your shirt." And so Jack switched shirts with him and gave him $200 so he could gamble. Who does that?
I don't know anyone.
He did. Wow. He did it because he wanted to help Todd out, and he was just an amazing person.
Yeah.
There was a time I was skiing with Jack. We were, I think, in Lake Tahoe, and I had just bought 3 bags of American silver dollars from the 1800s. I don't remember the years, 1870s, 1880s, and I think it was $60,000 a bag. I don't remember how much it was. It was a big deal. And I had to pay for it, so I had to get home to process the coins and get them sold. And Jack wanted me to stay. So Jack says, "How much do you want for the deal?" I said, "I don't know. I don't remember when I quoted him." And he goes, "I'll buy it." Jack bought the deal for me on a lift, skiing, just so I could stay skiing.
That is crazy.
Is that a crazy story?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a crazy, unbelievable story. He was such a bigger than life person, because at the coin shows he was like one of the biggest buyers at the coin shows. So everyone, because Jack loved coins, he really was passionate about it, and he
is that of all of these things that he had, is that what he loved the most?
He loved coins. And he loved people,
Okay.
and he loved helping people out. He's alive now. He's not like he's still. I assume he still does, right? But that's what drove him, was to help people. He wanted meaning and purpose in his life, and he did it through buying these, spending money on house and cars and
friends.
and friends, and because he wanted to be around people.
Yeah.
And one time we were going to go, my friend Cad Bennett and I, we were big Redskin fans at the time. Commanders, big Redskin fans.
Right.
And we wanted to go to Seattle for the game. So Jack said, "Why don't you come? We'll go to the game together." So we're staying at Jack's house. Of course, we're having a great time. It's so much fun.
Sounds like it's always a good time with Jack.
I should get back there. And so we need to go to the game. And we're at Jack's house, and Jack has a lot of fancy cars. So I drove the Ferrari 930, which is a very, very fancy Porsche. It's really rare. You hear 924s, 911s.
Right.
I think it was
Porsche, not Ferrari.
Porsche, yeah, not a Ferrari. Ferrari had a Testarossa.
Oh.
So Cab drove the Testarossa, and I drove the Porsche.
Right.
To a boat, to a dock.
Okay.
And at this dock is a cigarette boat. I don't know how big it was, 40 or 50 feet, with two 400 horsepower engines.
Oh my goodness, that could
cigarette, two of them. So we make I think what do you call it? Bloody Marys? It's like in the morning, and we take the boat to the Seattle Superdome in downtown Seattle. It was about a 30-minute ride, and we're flying. I mean,
what speed is that?
I don't even know. I don't know. It's knots. I'm not. It was fast.
It sounds crazy.
Fast. That's what it was. Really fast.
It was really fast.
And we get to the fun, and I laughed because I remember at the time, I think the new Redskin Stadium had been built, and they were charging like $25 to park at this new stadium.
Yeah, makes sense.
And we had a huge boat, and we parked at this dock, secure. They had like a secure lock and a guard, and I think it was like $25 for the day.
For the boat?
For the boat. I'm like, I think Dan Snyder's charging too much money for his parking. I mean, this is unbelievable. And we parked the boat. We ended up going to the Redskin. We ended up going to the game, and we walked back, and it was such an amazing experience to be able to like go in these unbelievable Italian sports cars, German and Italian, and take a cigarette boat to a Redskin game. I mean, who's done that before?
That's a unique experience.
A very unique experience, because Jack wanted to share. He was really, really amazing. One time, I have lots of great Jack stories. I'm not going to be able to tell them all because this is really just a fun podcast. He had these jet skis in the Puget Sound, and that walk, because it was on a cliff, he had to walk down this path. And so his jet skis, he took off the carburetor, I believe. It's a carburetor, you probably don't know because you're a mechanic, right? So I think if you take off the carburetor, it makes it loud, but it makes the thing go a lot faster.
Okay, so it's like the speed.
So they were high speed jet skis, and we were on the jet ski. And he had a boat, and people were one boat was, I think, fishing, one boat was water skiing, and I remember I'm on the jet ski, and you have to wear a wetsuit because Puget Sound is pretty cold. And next thing I know, I'm on the jet ski, and I go flying off the jet ski.
Oh my goodness!
I got caught by a fishing line.
Oh my goodness!
One of the guys, I think it was Paul Montgomery, threw a fishing line out, and he caught me by accident, and I got pulled off the jet ski.
You mean like you got clotheslined?
I got clotheslined by a fishing rod.
No.
By a fishing rod. It was. I mean, I don't think I got hurt because.
But how far does the jet ski?
Nothing happened to me. I'm fine. Really.
Right.
No, seriously.
Does the jet ski are you attached to the jet ski?
No, I flew off. No, you flew off. The jet ski goes off and it circles back around.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, when you let go of the jet ski, when it's not have personal, it circles back around.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that happens.
Yeah. This is in the old days where you couldn't sit down on jet ski. This is before the sit-down jet skis.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you remember this.
No.
Oh, my God.
I didn't know.
Jet skis, they used to only have stand-up.
Wow.
And it was hard to ride. Like, just sit down, you don't do anything, right? It's easy. But the ones you stand up on were very difficult.
Okay.
So anyway.
Cool.
There's a lesson that I want to teach here. And the lesson is that really, when you start making money in life, you start becoming successful, you need to save money.
So what happened to Jack?
Unfortunately, Jack made bad business decisions, and he got over his head in coins. I hate to say believed too much in what he was doing, because it got out of control. And when you're not thinking, I always have the mindset when I'm doing business that I don't need to make the last dollar. I don't need to be the richest guy in the room, but I want to make sure I'm not in the food line either. I don't want to have to go bankrupt or be poor, that kind of thing. So I do business. I make money. I'm happy with what I make. If I make money, I'm happy. My mom always said, you never go broke making a profit. Of course, you want to try to maximize the money you make, but my mindset is just make money and be happy.
That's awesome.
Make money, be
love
happy. I don't need to have the boats make people happy. That's how he connected to people. And I assume he learned a lesson from that. And he ended up losing a lot of what he had. He's still a great guy. I'm sure he still wants to help people out, and I'm sure he's very generous still.
Right.
But, unfortunately, you could have done a lot more with that money than spend it on these fancy items.
Right. Sounds like he could have prepared.
Yeah.
Sounds like he could have prepared.
He was also young.
One
of the things about making a lot of money when you're young, and these athletes who make some of these big contracts, I mean, if you look at the statistics for athletes, it's really shocking how many of them end up with no money. It's really shocking. The average lifespan of an NFL player is less than 3 years. I think a high percentage are broke after 5 years. And the NBA is even worse, because NBA, they make a lot of money. And I don't remember the percentages, but you can Google it. Very high percentages end up with no money. I mean, it's so many of them who made a fortune just end up with nothing. And of course, they have a lot of hanger-oners and people who are, there just for the money. And you have to be careful about that. And the lesson is that when you start making money, start becoming successful in life and have a job, start saving money. One way to save money is invest into a house and have a mortgage and pay every time you make that mortgage, you're saving money.
Wow. Yeah.
Even though people say, well, it's cheaper to rent. Yeah, but you're not saving money when you're renting.
Right.
You build your assets.
Right.
Build your assets.
When I was in personal finance class in college, our teacher told us there's two types of people in the world. There's savers and there's spenders.
Yeah.
And he said, if you're a spender, you have to marry a saver.
Yeah.
And the other way is true too.
You can even yourselves out.
Even it out. Yeah.
Dwight Manley, he's a coin that we talked about in one of the earlier podcasts on coins, gave me a very, very wise line that I still use today. Rich people earn interest. Poor people pay interest. Now, I know when you get a mortgage, you're paying interest. There's nothing wrong with paying interest and having a mortgage and taking loans out if you're buying commercial real estate. But when you make that everything's about loans, you should, especially a car. If you have to borrow money for a car, I don't think you should buy one. That's always been my feeling. Mm-hmm. Right?
Or not that car.
Or not that, right, a different car, cheaper car, used car, So anyway, that's my story about Jack. Just, you got to save your money because you never know what's going to happen. You always have to have money for a rainy day and be careful of overspending on too many toys.
Be responsible with your money. It is the ultimate tool that you have in life.
Because the empire did fall.
The empire fell.
And listen, I was, we did a lot of business together. Hopefully he made a lot of money off me. But in the end, it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to turn. And
it sounds like it happens, unfortunately, maybe more often than we'd expect. Sure. None of us are above this situation from happening to us. Right. Therefore, it's important that we have our values aligned.
And by the way, it's very easy. It's very easy to get caught in this trap. No one wakes up one morning, what we've talked about this before. What is a greater challenge, to be rich or poor?
Oh, it's much harder. They both have.
Most people are going to say it's a greater challenge to be poor. But what happens? No one wakes up one morning and says, I'm poor. No, you're poor. Right? You can't pay your bills. You have a problem putting food on the table. But the challenge is being rich, is being wealthy, because no one wakes up one day and says, I'm wealthy. Because if you start making millions of dollars a year or become worth $10 million, you know what happens? You're like, I should go to 20 million. I really should be working until I got 15 million. I know guys in the coin business who are worth, probably now, I haven't been in a while, but if not 100 million, well over $100 million, and they're still working nonstop.
Yeah.
Because they haven't found anything more meaningful to do in their lives. The most important thing we have in our lives is meaning and purpose. Mm-hmm. Right?
That's right. That's
meaning
the key.
And purpose. Purpose being forward-looking, meaning being backward-looking. Which means when you have a purpose in life, you find meaning.
I love that.
Yep.
That's really true.
Yeah.
Value it. Value the way you spend your time.
Yep.
All of this endures much longer than the money.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that story. Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds like he was a great guy. He sounds like he still is a great guy.
He is still a great guy. I love Jack, but the empire fell.
The empire fell.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening and watching the Fish and Coach Show.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching the Fish and Coach Show.
If you like what you just watched, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment with any ideas you'd like to see on any future episodes.
We'll see you next time.